Africa, yeah. Sure, sure. Simi Uwogugu, who is our president and CEO of JA Africa. And next to her, we have Ruth Kabogo, regional sales manager for Kenya for FedEx. Please, thank you. Please, when you hear a sponsor, somebody that's giving us money, please clap very well so that they give us more next year. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then we have, Deji Ishmael, who we have here as a visionary leader, AfriSans, and board of trustees of the PMI Nigeria chapter. Can we give him a round of applause, please? All right, so thank you all for being here. Today we set the stage for a transformative 3-day, which we have already started this morning with our ACE competition, celebrating Africa's young innovators and the solutions that they are building for all their communities. All right, so we're going to jump right into our panel. So the purpose of this panel is really to reflect on the power of entrepreneurship and the enormous potential of Africa's youth. This year's theme, ACT, Action for Climate Transformation, challenges students to harness AI, technology, and sustainable thinking to create solutions that build climate resilience and drive inclusive growth. So we're now going to hear from our esteemed panelists. We're going to start with Papa Worldwide. Can we please clap for Papa Worldwide? Actually, she's giving me a Oga at the top, Papa Worldwide, who just gave me a side eye, but he loves me anyway. So JA Worldwide champions experiential learning across the globe. From your perspective, why is entrepreneurship education critical now for Africa's expanding youth population?
Hi, Papa Worldwide. That is a terrifying start to a press conference, which might end its way on social media somewhere. So I'm now I'm appropriately terrified. But thank you. Simi calls me Oga. I'm going to now call her to Oga Madame. Yes, because as you know, she's the real boss. Let me start with some humility. Every time I'm asked a question about Africa, I fly here from Boston and have to pretend like I'm an expert. I'm no expert. Okay, let me start with I'm here to learn, and I'm here to learn from all of you. Let me start with a little bit of data which kind of can ground us. I think most of you know this, but it's good to kind of hear it as a frame. By 2050, 85% of the world's population will be in what we today around the world call the developing world. 85% of the world's population. So we need to reframe what we mean by developing to something altogether different. Probably just future, not developing. That's point one. The workforce is also going to fundamentally change. So in the next, say, 10 to 15 years, you look at the World Bank data, 1.2 billion people will be entering the workforce in the next 10 to 15 years. And we only have 400 million jobs for them today, assuming there's no decline because of AI in any of these jobs. So that's a gap of 800 million jobs that have to be created by someone. So when you ask about the urgency and the importance of entrepreneurship education in Africa, I think starting with that framing helps me make sense of it all. Now, when we think of who's going to create these jobs, this is where I'm going to rely on learning from all of you. I've got my opinions and thoughts, but I really want to listen and learn for how we collectively can make this, can make JA Worldwide and JA Africa and all the JA entities around the world part of the solution. You know, we, as you know, are really now one of the world's largest nonprofit organizations and networks. Right? We're on a path by 2050 to reach 10% of the world's youth per year. 10% of the world's youth. And we're almost, like we're a fifth of the way there already. We've grown now, we reach over 20 million young people per year. We need to get to 100 million by 2050. It's amazing, we have the scale. And I think, hopefully I speak for all my colleagues in saying that we actually now believe that we can do this. We really do. So I want to hear from my fellow panelists, and also thank my fellow panelists from PMI and FedEx for their support, because we can't do this without their partnership.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ashish. All right, so Simi, we're going to go to you next. JA Africa operates in 23 countries and reaches over 1 million young people each year. What makes COY such an important platform for preparing young Africans for the future of work?
All right. Thank you, Felicia, and thank you to my fellow panelists and everyone in the room. Ashish mentioned World Bank. I flew into Abuja on Monday from DC, where I had a meeting with the World Bank. And if any of you have heard any speeches from AJ Banga lately, the new head, or is actually not so new, head of the World Bank anymore, he's very focused on jobs and job creation. And so the meeting I had with them was to talk about jobs for youth in Africa. And as we think about the population growth and everything that Ashish just mentioned, clearly it's not going to come from existing companies. It's going to come from creation of jobs, which is why we believe that entrepreneurship education is critical to solving that problem. We need to equip young people not to be job seekers, but to be job creators, to be the ones who are seeing the solutions, who are starting companies and innovative social enterprises to solve the problem and hire people as well, create jobs, improve livelihoods. So that's what we do at JA Africa, is really to equip young people with the ability to solve problems, because there are many problems and we can't bring the solutions from elsewhere. As we heard Kennedy Odede say this morning, we have to equip young people with the ability to solve their own problems through entrepreneurship, because we believe that entrepreneurship is a great leveler. It's what allows people to move up, the social mobility ladder, and to decrease poverty and improve livelihoods for their communities, for their families, for their countries. And so that's what we do. We equip young people across 23 countries, and we keep innovating, because we know that in a world of AI, everything keeps moving rapidly. And so we can't use yesterday's solutions. We have to keep innovating. And so we also are training young people to be innovative in the solutions that they're creating. I believe this combination will help us in achieving that solution to youth in Africa.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Simi. A round of applause for her, please. Alrighty. So next, we're going to go to you, Ruth. FedEx has supported COY for several years, and we're extremely grateful for that. Why does FedEx continue to invest in youth entrepreneurship across Africa? And what impact do you hope to see from this year's competition?
All right, thank you for the question. And it's always such a pleasure to be associated with JA, not just as an organization, as FedEx, but also personally. Because sometimes I think back of what this would have done for me during our time. Had we had such opportunities, experience, I believe it would have made a world of a difference. Yeah. So to your question, FedEx has continuously supported JA, and let me not say supported, it's a partnership. Yeah, it's a partnership. It's not charity, it's because we believe in it. If you didn't do it, someone would do it, or we would do it. Yeah, but JA is the expert at that. And when I think of that question, I think of fitness. I come from a country where we have amazing runners, yeah? And before they do the main marathons, they always intensely train and they prepare. So I view JA as the training ground for the future that we want to see. Yeah, so the students get the opportunity to even learn, like, what is marketing? What is that department? Why do we have operations? Why do we have finance? Yeah, as opposed to constantly giving them the theoretical angle of education, JA provides that practical experience. It gives them the opportunity to see life differently, begin to make mistakes early. The earlier we make the mistakes, the better will be business leaders for tomorrow. And without belaboring the point, the governments or the current organizations are not enough to give a living to everybody. And so as much as we see jobs as very scarce, I think we've made it that way. But with this generation, we can now give the opportunity to the students to create the businesses, start somewhere. And then remember, FedEx is a startup. We literally were created from a class, like, like this. So our founder had this great idea of overnight deliveries. And here we are, later, we have 500,000 employees across the world in over 220 countries. And so every time I come to JA, I'm filled with goosebumps because I'm like, this could be one of them. Yeah. So what I'm looking forward to seeing in this year is, let me actually be very honest, it's the process they have gone through has just strengthened their muscle. Their muscle to think, the muscle to believe, the muscle to be frustrated and get over it. So they have already achieved a whole lot. This is only the icing on the cake, and this will allow them to create ideas that will be beneficial, are sustainable, and we can eventually scale. Yeah.
Excellent. Training ground. So I'm going to go to the man in the gym at the moment, one of our students here who is on the training ground. So you are one of the bright minds representing your country this year. You're representing Uganda. What inspired your team's innovation, and what do you hope to take away from the experience?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Majoro Kwame. I would like to start off by saying it's an honor and privilege to be here, being supported by JA and all these sponsors. So I'd like to start off by saying that what inspired us, to put it simply, is we sat down in a classroom and we said, what can we decided, okay, now plastic pollution is a problem. What can we solve? And that is when we, due to multiple slums in Kampala, we said now we should start here with the housing projects.
New ways of doing things. Everybody looks at Uber now, or I look at Uber, right? And I think it seems now like such a simple idea. But a few years before it happened, it wasn't such a simple idea. So project management brings that discipline. Like, okay, it's not enough to just have an idea. What's the steps, the challenges, and how do you continually innovate so that we can, at the end of the day, solve problems? If we start getting people from education to start getting into the idea of solving problems, then, we just have a very thriving world. And that's what we need to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much. A round of applause for him, please. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to ask you your last set of questions as we begin to round up. So the next question is for you, Ruth, again. With logistics being such a key element of global trade, how important is it for young entrepreneurs to understand supply chain innovation as they scale their ideas?
All right, thanks for that. So creating, products, amazing products is one thing, but having the ability for it to scale, move beyond you, move beyond your county, move beyond your location, move into another country takes logistics. And proper understanding of the supply chain is really key for the businesses. So what we want and what we hope is that these ideas will grow beyond borders. And once they grow beyond borders, then logistics is not going to be a hindrance. So FedEx and why we exist is to do exactly that for businesses. We make the possibilities real. We make that, we go across that hurdle and support the businesses to be able to go to the next level, to the next country, to the next continent. And so supply chain is really key. It's the one thing that, when it's there, you don't realize, but when it's not there, you feel the pain. Yes. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Ruth. Thank you for your response. All right, next, Ashish, we're coming back to you. So COY has grown into one of Africa's largest platforms for youth-led innovation. How do you see competitions like this strengthening the global pipeline of young entrepreneurs and change makers?
COY, most of you know this, but for those of you who don't, stands for Company of the Year. And this competition has been happening all over the world in regions. And the beauty of JA is every region makes it their own. And Africa has really made COI have a certain special feel. Every time I come back, I see how it's evolved, and it gets better and better each year. And the quality of the students, they come back with more innovative ideas. Apparently the idea of the moment is turning plastic waste into construction materials. We saw quite a few presentations of that. There's an opportunity for a roll-up. You're going to learn what a roll-up is, part of the training ground. Maybe you'll be the person who buys all these other companies and makes it a giant company, Kwame. It could be. It could be the thing that you do, okay? But I want to start by saying that the reason we do these competitions is because of this concept called self-efficacy. Most of you know, if you're in the room, you're part of JA, you know that's part of our theory of change. To be a successful entrepreneur, you have to believe that you can be a successful entrepreneur. We can see Kwame is already on that path to believe that about himself. I know this from personal experience because I went through JA when I was young, and that self-belief, if you don't get it at a young age, it's much harder to get when you're older, to all of a sudden think that you're going to be an entrepreneur when you're older. So JA builds this sense of self-belief. We do it partly, well, we do it in a number of ways. One of the ways to build self-efficacy is hearing from other people that you are going to be successful, that you could one day roll up and buy companies. Other people will tell you that, and awards is one of the ways we do that. So we give more awards than any other organization on the planet. You've probably heard me say this. We do it well. We do it for students. We do it for alumni. We do it for volunteers. We do it for board members. We do it for role models, etc. And so that's what I believe is the power of this particular event, the COI event, is we elevate, taking the training ground and elevating that to self-confidence and self-efficacy.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ashish. All right. So, Mr. Ishmael, I'm coming to you now. From your work with JA Africa, what critical project management skills do you believe every young innovator must master to thrive in today's fast-changing world?
First, may I say I wish I had attended JA when I was 17 or 14. Anyhow, I was thinking about that, and it's got to be critical thinking skills. Project management requires you to have critical thinking skills and continuous improvement, the ability to innovate. These are skills that as the people execute some of the projects, they just, and then team building and communications. And it gives an advantage for when people start to work in organizations or they actually start to grow their businesses. Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, coming back to you. There are so many things that they have prophesied into your life today. I hope you are collecting everything. You're going to buy businesses. You're going to do all this great stuff. Okay, so roll up. Yes, roll up. Okay, so the last question for you. As a student entrepreneur, what challenges did you overcome in bringing your idea to life? And how has this experience shaped your confidence as a future leader? I mean, you're obviously already confident, but just tell us a little bit more about how it has shaped your confidence.
Thank you. I would like to okay, the funny thing about that is I feel like the biggest challenge in being a student entrepreneur apologies.
No shade. I was going to throw shade and then I held myself back. No shade. Go on.
The biggest challenge of being a student entrepreneur is the first part of that title, which is being a student. If I'm to be fully transparent, in the beginning when we started the company, we are currently were candidates in high school, which is we're doing our final papers, so we're struggling to find time. We had growing pains of trying to figure out the innovation, and it was discouraging at times, but I feel like this room is evident that if you have people who believe in you, you can turn ideas into the vision into change, and change into this.
I think that's a mic drop moment right there, but please don't drop our mic, but that was really good. That was a mic drop moment. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, so Stevie, I'm closing with you. The last question goes to you. Sorry, 1 second. All right, so last question for you is this. So this year's theme centers on AI-driven climate solutions. How is JA Africa positioning young innovators to harness emerging technologies for sustainability?
Okay, so That's a topic that I've taken on recently to fight, because we fight many battles in Africa. And before we even get to AI, there's the infrastructure problem, which is, lack of electricity in many African countries. And then when you deal with that, is now the devices are too expensive for majority of the people, and then the internet access isn't there, and then the skills the young people need to be able to, do well on the internet, the safety to be safe online, and then finally we get to AI, which is steadily progressing everywhere else in the world, and we can't ignore it because we don't want our young people to be left behind. So we're fighting all the battles. We can't say, okay, let's first do infrastructure and then we have to do everything at once just so our young people are not denied. And at JA Africa, what we're doing is working with a lot of partners to ensure that that doesn't happen. First is working with governments to really advocate for better infrastructure, and then working with donors. We have a lot of global donors who come to us globally to say, oh, we have these free online programs we want to give to our students, and my counterparts in other JAs are able to welcome that and get their young people to access these programs. But for us, it's really not free, because we have to first connect the school to the internet, sometimes even bring a generator to provide electricity, and then rent the devices, and then get them up to skill with the skills, and then be able to offer the programs. So really also advocating with donors to say, okay, yes, we love your programs, but can you also add something on top for infrastructure development? That makes us less attractive as a grantee, because now we're asking for more than they're willing to give. So that's a battle we continue to fight as well. And then on the AI front is really preparing our young people to be able to take advantage of this. And AI, not just as consumers, but as producers, people who are actually putting products out there. So it's not just to use the AI tools to do your homework, but how do you actually support AI development in Africa? How do we get data centers and data that's culturally and context relevant to Africa, so that we can actually use it to improve our development across Africa? So giving them AI literacy, one of the partnerships, global partnerships, is with Microsoft in AI literacy. So we also participate in that. We've incorporated that into our company program, which is what we're here to celebrate the Company of the Year. So now there is a module on AI. And then encouraging the young people to also use AI in their businesses. So you see some of them on Thursday, tomorrow, when they present their businesses and how they've used AI to augment those solutions. So on all fronts, we're charging ahead, and we're hoping that our young people actually leapfrog a lot of the challenges. And we believe that, M-Pesa, for example, was way ahead of the West. So we believe that there will be other technological innovations like that will make Africa actually introduce, not just consume, but introduce innovations into the world. And so we believe that with a cell phone, you can have your bank, you can have your hospital, you can have your everything because of AI. And so I really believe in that future for our young people. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. A round of applause for our panel. Thank you, wonderful panelists. Okay, so we're going to transition now into questions from the media. If you have a question, can you please introduce yourself, the media house you represent, and then you can ask your question. So let's see. I need one of the hosts, please, to help with the microphone. You have one? Debbie's going to be mine. Okay, don't worry. So do we have any questions from any of the media houses? Can you just raise your hand if you have a question, and then we'll hand you the microphone. Okay, there's a gentleman this side of the room. So please just introduce yourself, the media house you represent, and ask your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Mark Sibo from Leadership Newspapers. So I'm just looking at the entire program, and I want to know, if possible, in Nigeria specifically, how many youths are we looking at interacting with this program, and where specifically are you targeting with your program in Nigeria?
Okay, Simi, you want to say something?
All right, so in Nigeria, we reach an average of 200,000 young people annually. Across Africa, 1.5 million across 23 countries. This specific program is for secondary school students, and I believe this year we impacted about 20,000 secondary school students with the company program.
All right. Next question. Please raise your hand if you have a question. Have we answered all your questions during our panel? This was a fantastic panel. You answered all the questions. Let me answer all of the questions, because Nigerian media always have questions. Yes, there's a gentleman here on this side of the room. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ojihikme is my name. I'm the VP Professional Development PMI Nigeria Chapter Board. When Deji was speaking about the skills required for turning ideas into reality, I think maybe because of the time, and I know he would have harped on the importance of schedule management, for these young ones, because from the cultural and the contextual perspective, we have that problem in Nigeria, for instance, schedule management. And, they need to understand what that means to actualizing their dreams. So I don't know if Mr. Deji will want to throw a bit of light on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So Festus, you're talking about the cultural problem of 9 E's whenever we all get there. I mean, there are so many ideas. It's really important. We're living in a very competitive world. If you have the motivation to actually follow the ideas, it's interesting listening to you and you talking about the fact that student entrepreneur, and I didn't have a speaker, so I couldn't say, I'm not sure it really changes. What's really moving you is your commitment to your vision and the passion. So I think with that, as long as there's passion, we can overcome some of these technical issues or cultural issues. Yeah, but.
Thank you. All right, do we have any questions okay, so there's a gentleman here on this side of the room. Can he be given a microphone, please? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ndoka Chejin of the Nation newspaper. My question is to the lady. Yes, we already have the numbers of Nigerian tech in part and the Africans generally. Can you please give us an idea of what it costs you financially to achieve this?
Thank you. I didn't plant you there, but great answer. Yes, it costs quite a bit, and thanks to our sponsors at FedEx and PMIAF and many other sponsors who enable us to have our programming, we're able to reach young people across Africa. So the cost, it differs by program. A program like the company program, where it's almost a year-long program that they're building a business, and we're providing tools and frameworks for them, is one of the more expensive ones than a program that is a one-day innovation camp, for example. So the cost per student varies by program, but overall, if we just do what our budget is divided by what our number of students is, our cost per student is usually within $20 to $25 per student. I can give you more details by program, one-on-one.
Okay, he said that he looks forward to it. So maybe he has funders for us. Do you have some funders for us?
One thing which is probably worth mentioning is we've now done more robust studies on the return on investment for every dollar spent on developing a program and implementing it. We've done some great research in Europe, for example, and based on some of that research, we find the ROI for every dollar invested is over $20 back. So it's a very high return on economic investment for a community and for society. So I hope that makes it into your article.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay, there's a hand on this side of the room. Okay.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My question is coming from the numbers of the exact persons you plan to target. From what my interpreter interpreted to me, you have over 200,000 persons in Nigeria, right? Okay, so I would like to ask specifically, what about persons with disabilities? Are they also included in these numbers? Because I believe that every person will also benefit from this, so we want everyone to benefit, including persons with disability. So do you have them included in these numbers, please?
Thank you. That's a great question. We definitely do. This particular program, especially in Nigeria, we ask that at least 5%, ideally 10% of the students be young persons with disabilities. And we partner with organizations that serve that population specifically, knowing that we don't have the expertise. So they are helping us to make sure that we have programs in Braille for visually impaired students, programming for hearing impaired, and other disabilities, including the ones you don't see. Yes. So most of the time we talk about disabilities we see, but there are also all kinds of special needs young people as well. So we want to make our program as inclusive as possible.
Thank you. Thank you, Simi. I'm just going to quickly add to that because I did some work in Nigeria for about 2 months this year, and we partnered with JONAPID, which is the Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities, and they've actually given us a staff member that's going to join the Nigeria team to ensure that we are very inclusive in our programming. Thank you. All right, thank you. Do we have any other questions in the room? Okay, there's a gentleman on that side of the room. Thank you.
My name is Friday. I'm a reporter with Channels TV. I just want to follow up on the return on investment. You spend it so much to train, especially young minds, but I think it is important to tell us, how do you track the return on investment? For instance, I was reading something online now because it's really strange to me. That's why at the beginning it was difficult for me to ask a question. But I read something online that the 13th edition, which we held in Rwanda, the Nigeria contingent actually won some prizes. After that contingent, what have you done? What impact that competition actually brought to the society? How do you track after giving the award to those who competed?
Okay, I'll start and then my Oga will finish. So we definitely track. Our digital director is in the room, Binkwe, and what we do is we have a dashboard that tracks the students as they go through this program and where they go next. And we also make sure that we stay in touch with them. So for example, the students you mentioned who went to Rwanda, we, after the competition, took them to universities around Rwanda, and 2 of them actually got full scholarships to the Africa Leadership University in Rwanda. So we also try to make sure that these things we bring, you see today or tomorrow, or maybe the next day, MasterCard Foundation Scholars Program, they're here, they'll make a presentation to the young people so they can learn about how to apply for scholarships for university. Typically, we also have Africa Leadership Academy or Africa Leadership University representatives who speak with them. And so we make sure that we stay in touch because this is a secondary school program. We want them to go to university. We don't want them to leave and then start businesses. And so we make sure we track the educational outcomes as well as the entrepreneurial or employment outcomes later in life. But on the return on investment.
Sure, so great question. As you can imagine, for an organization of our scale, tracking the data is very important for many reasons. It's important to our partners, they care about it. It's important to our staff. We've raised and deployed as an organization in the last 3 years globally over $1 billion all over the world. So we track the impact data very carefully. We've actually got a study which very transparently shows how we track it and what we track. You know, I'll just say go to our website and click on impact, and the impact study is there. To answer your very specific question, we do 3 types of impact studies. One is called predictive analytics. Another one is a pre and post study, and the third is alumni tracking studies. And collectively, when you use the data from all 3 of them, you can actually draw conclusions on return on investment. The data I quoted earlier is from Albania, which happens to be a country where 100% of all youth in Albania get JA programs multiple times. So with that level of depth, obviously the ROI will be high, but the cost is also higher. So that's where the data is from.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions from any of the journalists in the room? Any other questions?
And let me just add that we want to thank Channels as well. Please give our regards when you go back. Channels has been on the board of Junior Achievement Nigeria for a very long time and supports the programming in Nigeria.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Okay. If we don't have any other questions, thank you to my distinguished panelists. Can we please give them a round of applause? Thank you to all the journalists and our media colleagues in the room for your great questions and the engagements. Thank you to everybody who's here, our board members from all around the world, our staff from all around the world and everyone here, our partners, our sponsors. Thank you so much. So as we step into the competition, are we excited? Yes! I mean, I just love Camille. Camille's voice is enough for the whole room. Please, can you give us another? As the competition begins, we are really excited about 3 days of innovation, creativity, and purpose-driven entrepreneurship. Africa's young people are not just preparing for the future, they are building it, all right? So please engage, have a great time. Thank you once again, everyone. Please give yourselves a round of applause for being a thoughtful audience. We're now going to have group photos. So my distinguished panelists, and we're just going to step to the front for a group photograph. Is our photographer ready? Okay, great. Thank you.
Please give a round of applause for our moderator as well.
Clock. Thank you so much.